Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ask SplitSuit a Question. I am James SplitSuit Sweeney here for thepokerbank.com, and today we're going to answer one of your questions. So today's question comes from Chris R, and Chris says, playing in live, low-stakes, limp fest type games. What should my raising range be around the cutoff or button after 5 or more limpers? What should my sizing be? What am I trying to accomplish by raising? Alright, so I'm going to assume that we're talking about like 1-2 or 1-3. That's a pretty live, low stakes type game. And we're just assuming there's 5 or more limpers and we're here in the cutoff or button. So as a pure default, I'm going to be raising here very strong, simply because there's a lot of limpers, and if I raise, what's going to happen? Well, chances are the open limper is likely going to call, and once they call, everyone behind them wants to call as well. So we know that we're probably going to get involved in a bigger pot. The pot size itself is going to be quite large. It could be very multi-way, which bloats the pot even more, shrinks the SPR even further, and because of that, and I'm entering that kind of situation, I want the strongest range possible. So my general default range is going to be like jacks plus ace king, where things like ace queen and pocket 10 kind of sit on the cusp. Jacks can occasionally sit on the cusp, but that's usually going to be my default raising range here if there's going to be that many limpers. So as for the exact sizing that you use, it's kind of an art form, but in general it's going to be kind of large, simply because I'm using the strong range, I want to generate a lot of value, and I'm assuming that if we have this much passivity and idiocy preflop, that I can probably generate some real value. So it's going to be a bigger size, usually somewhere between 10x and 15x, so between $20 and $30 at 1-2 is going to be pretty fair, and that's usually going to get the job done. Now, what am I trying to accomplish? Well, if I'm using a stronger range, as always, I'm trying to get some value. And I'm also trying to make sure that I don't raise, say, to 12, and then everyone and their mother is going to call. And then all of a sudden, again, we're in that really bloated pot, smaller SPR, more people involved, so our equity starts shrinking out at least a little bit, and that's not going to be as good for us. So my real goal when I'm raising here is to ideally get 1, maybe 2 people involved, go from there, generate value, have fun, play post-flop, which would be pretty easy because it'll be a smaller SPR pot. So that's kind of my general default situation and idea. Now, if I do say choose a larger size, say I decide to raise here to 24, which is obviously very large, but whatever. Say if I think by raising to 24 that everyone's just going to fold a large chunk of the time. Well, then I'm going to change my range. Then I'm just going to start raising a ton of hands up to 24. Fight and contend for the pot. If there's 5 limpers, that means there's, what, $13 in the middle, so I can attack that and go from there. So as far as what size I actually use kind of changes what my reason and rationale is. If I'm just trying to fight for the pot, pick a size that's going to generate a ton of folds, my cards don't matter as much. Whereas if I think, if I choose a size between 20 and 30, then I'm going to be getting at least 1 caller, then my cards start to matter a little bit more. If I expect to get multiple callers, my cards matter a lot, and thus I want to choose a correct range. And again, using the stronger range is usually going to be the best idea for that. Keeps you out of trouble, keeps your range nice and strong when you do get multiple callers, and thus you're going to be doing well. You're going to be doing a lot of domination of the ranges, and it's going to be very easy to make money, both pre-flop and post-flop in that situation. So Chris, thanks for the awesome question. Hopefully that gets you started when it comes to raising in these multi-way crazy limp fest type games. And if you or anyone else has a poker related question, feel free to leave them on our Google Plus page. I'll leave a link for that in the description box. And also please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this type of video. So same as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck out there and happy grinding.